Good morning. We're located in this beautiful United Way office here in the Lowenbro building. I think that's important for our community to know. We're with Mayor Bob Kelly and the President of the United Way of Cascade County, along with my partner in the agency, Janet Duffy. We'll let Janet kind of ask some questions on their new exciting news that's happening tomorrow.
That news too, but what you're working on is it's near and dear to my heart. Continuum of care. What does that mean, first of all? You know, and I guess we should just start there.
Sure. So the Continuum of Care is a local initiative bringing multiple nonprofits, governmental agencies, the faith community, concerned citizens together to address the homelessness issue in our community. We have about 40 organizations represented on the Continuum of Care. And a lot of credit goes to this gentleman. About 6 years ago, he launched what's called the Mayor's Initiative to End Veteran Homelessness. And as we started working on that, we realized there are a lot more homeless individuals that are not veterans, and certainly the veteran population has been a focus. But as we've expanded that work, it's been real exciting to see the organizations come together, working more effectively together, which results in individuals being assisted moving from homelessness to permanent housing.
And that's, I mean, everybody drives around and you see our homeless population, and I think that there's a misperception about who the homeless people are. I remember several years ago in the Continuum of Care, the committee at that point, there was a very large I found out that how many students were homeless and couch surfing. And I mean, I was shocked at the number then. I think it was 100 and
it's way more than that now.
So can you talk a little bit about some of those misperceptions maybe?
Yeah, I'd like to address a little bit of that, Janet. One of the things that the community needs to know is that the work of the Continuum of Care is done very quietly. When you drive around the community, you see people on the street, you see folks sleeping on the sidewalks, down the river, etc. What you don't see are the success stories of the people who have been housed over the years. And what Gary and the group at the Continuum of Care has done is you sit around the table. This is a very easy thing to imagine. Everyone there has some kind of resource that's designed to help folks who are struggling in the community, primarily with homelessness, and also what accompanies that frequently is mental illness. And so having that in place and having those resources be able to look across the table and talk to each other, there's an easier way to solve things than just doing it by yourself. You talked about student homelessness. In fact, that's defined in a different way. And when you get into the world of federal funding and local funding and state funding, as Gary well knows, you have to be careful about who you're calling what. Right. Students who are couch surfing or who aren't sleeping consistently in a home, those are one statistic, and the school district has a great handle on that. What we're looking at is, a broad perspective of what we consider community homeless. It's not necessarily a vagrant. It's not a drunk person you see walking downtown. It's not a panhandler. What it can be is a mom who's facing medical bankruptcy and has 3 kids, and the only place she can sleep is in her car. What you have is a single dad who has lost custody of children, has to pay child support, so he has a choice, rent or child support. And doing something noble, perhaps, like not paying rent and paying child support, puts him on the street. And so when people see folks who are homeless, they need to register in their mind there's a variety of causes and there's a variety of people who are suffering from this very thing. We know what's happening in the more expensive communities in Montana. There are many people without homes, but they're being forced out because of higher rents, higher real estate, etc. So I think the community needs to know a couple things. Homeless is a broad term.
Right.
It's not necessarily the people that you might be afraid of that you see walking down the street. There should be sympathy for who these folks are. The second thing is that there are some people who choose to camp rough, and we discovered that with our veterans. And certainly St. Vincent de Paul, who's one of our Continuum of Care people, go out and do that. And then we've also discovered that this group, the Continuum of Care, has been very successful in getting people into living situations that are permanent. And of course the community doesn't see that. They do see the headlines, and they see the discomfort that they feel when they walk by folks. But what they need to know is, Gary, the Continuum of Care, United Way, all of the front door agencies who have these resources are meeting on a regular basis to try to solve this issue.
What I thought was so amazing is during my time at the Military Affairs Committee was trying to get some of those veterans their benefits. They qualify for a ton of benefits,
Right.
but they're just not taking advantage of them.
Right. The veterans have a whole nother paradigm that they're dealing with. One is certainly just their service has created a different perspective from them, right? And the other thing is that they do have access to a lot of resources that the standard people who haven't done that service don't have access to. And as Gary alluded to, when we launched the Veterans Homelessness Challenge that Mrs. Obama actually put out, so it was 8 years ago, in fact, not 6. Time flies when you're having fun. And what we found is just what you said, Todd. You can bring resources to these folks, but because of their experience, good, bad, or indifferent, they may say, "I'm not ready to handle that." That's why we have the stand down here every year. We've had 18 in a row.
It's a great
just
event.
to put
Great
those
event,
resources out there, everything from a sleeping bag to a dentist to a haircut to financial aid. And the veterans are free to choose and pick what they're ready to accept. That's not often the case with just people who are not veterans.
Right.
Well, and mental illness, right? I mean, how do you, I mean, there's just so much at play. I'm really proud of the work that you guys have done. I just want to we want to congratulate you in bringing the groups together and making the progress. What can the community do today to help in your process and with this initiative? Or initiatives, because there's different populations.
There's different,
Sure.
there's a lot of work going on, a lot of positive things, as Bob alluded to. I think the average citizen, number one, is to be an advocate for this work, not to look at these individuals as someone to fear or to dislike or distrust, but to understand these are individuals who need our help, they need our empathy, and to have that attitude to volunteer with the organizations that are doing the work. Just about every single one of them needs volunteers, they need resources, they need dollars. There are a ton of ways to get involved, and we encourage anyone who's interested, they can contact the United Way office or any of the members of the Continuum of Care to get involved.
So where can people find a list of those members?
Well, I think they ought to call Gary's.
We have that. We have contact information and a list of everyone who's officially involved with the Continuum of Care, and it's not private information or confidential information, and anyone who's interested in getting that, we're willing to share that information.
So reach out to the United Way. And what's your phone number, Gary?
It's 406-727-3400.
Yeah.
Easy one to remember.
That is an easy one.
Yeah, and Janet, you brought up the concept of mental health, and just tomorrow we're going to be having a meeting with some state legislators, some people from Helena who provide other resources to us to bring the folks from the Continuum of Care together in a room and kind of talk about the frustrations that we have with the limited resources that we have here in our community. We're hopeful that the folks in Helena who have put together some programs in Helena that should reach out to the state will be able to provide us with some kind of a pathway to get to those resources without having to deal with a lot of red tape, but to put those dollars to work. And we hope that our legislators hear that this is a bigger problem than just our community. It's a problem in our state. We know that. It's also a problem in the nation. Janet, you asked about what the community can do. I think there's two things. One is free, and one is to have more patience with people and what you see out there with people. Granted, there are some folks who don't deserve our patience. Maybe they need to move along and stop creating issues, and they may actually, in fact, have a place to go, which is necessary. But then the other thing, we all have the opportunity to give of something, whether it's dollars, if you have dollars, whether it's an extra trip to the food bank to help folks there. There are lots of ways, and Gary's organization is positioned in a great place to help direct you to where your contribution of any kind can be best directed. And that's why, United Way is the best organization to put this Continuum of Care together.
Oh, guys, we could talk forever about
absolutely.
this topic.
Yeah.
Sure.
just to leave it with one thing, my sister runs a mental health group home in Butte, a transitional care facility through Aware. So very interesting. I've got to see it firsthand.
Yeah,
So
she's with Aware.
Yeah,
I think we'll have someone tomorrow from Aware at our meeting.
Yep.
Yeah.
So good information there.
Yeah.
It is.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking the time
Yeah,
to share.
absolutely. Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Mayor Bob Kelly. Thank you, President of United Way, Gary Owens.